Like always, today's episode is brought to you by our amazing sponsors: gluten-free diet water, premium junk clothing, Williamson wines, Good Dudes coffee. Gluten-free diet water. Stay hydrated with a refreshing twist. Perfect for those health-conscious listeners. Premium junk clothing, for those who love to express their unique style with high-quality fashion pieces. Visit premiumjunkclothing.com and use code EverydayGSD15 at checkout. Williamson Wine, natural artisan wine from Napa and Sonoma. Good Dudes Coffee, veteran-owned by former Navy SEAL Josh Bridges. Every cup is brewed with passion and dedication to quality. Visit their website at gooddudescoffee.com and use discount code EverydayGSD10 for an exclusive offer. And also, don't forget to visit the Everyday GSD store at darinbibeau.com for all your official Everyday GSD merchandise. And now, let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to the Everyday GSD Podcast, Restaurant Edition. As you guys know, we've had a couple restaurant pioneers. Is that what we call them, Justin? Or restaurateurs on the show. Well, today's special guest is Seth Stevenson, a good friend of mine, also in the restaurant industry. Our goal when we were starting to do these shows with the restaurants was to have owners on the show. Justin and I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how we were going to do this in the Carmel area, which is where, you know, we have a great restaurant scene. So our idea was to get some people, and obviously you guys have already watched a couple of the shows, and our goal was to get restaurant owners, not the people that are working there, even though that's the backbone of the industry or the business. But yours is a little bit different, Seth, and I'm going to do a bio on you because Seth right now is I'm going to call it the head, what is it, HMFC?
Head motherfucker in charge.
Okay, I'm trying not to curse for Randy and my mom, but
sorry, Randy.
We love you, Randy. So Seth runs the VFW restaurant and basically the building. You're not a veteran. Your dad was, but again, we're going to go over all that. So let me give a little backstory first. I just wanted to jump in at the first and say that because I don't want anyone that's going to listen to this and go, "Wait a minute, he owns the VFW." No, the VFW is a club, Veterans of Foreign War, and it's a membership, and there's a whole bunch of stuff around that. But we'll get into all that. And I notice you're rocking out your life member VFW shirt because you're an auxiliary member. That's and right. Former president of the auxiliary for a short stint.
For a short stint.
Realize that was a little more work than you need to do with the canteen side, which is called the restaurant. Okay, you're originally from Arizona. Your dad was a Vietnam vet, Navy Vietnam vet, and Butch is an awesome guy. I actually love him. I know Jonica totally loves him, respects him, and often they have their lunch dates. Yep. And I'm so glad that you've got to come into our lives from Arizona, but let's back it up a little bit. You started in the restaurant business about 18 years ago. No, excuse me. When you were 18 years old, washing dishes and bussing tables. You left the industry after doing a few jobs. You were doing construction, concrete finish work, road work. That must have been hot in Arizona.
That's why I left.
That's why you left. And so what called you back? Obviously, the restaurant industry did. So after a few jobs and you realized it's time to go back to the restaurant business, you were hired by Del Frisco Restaurant Group, which is a Texas-based company known for some of the best steakhouses in the country at the time. And they still have some great restaurants around the country. But I think they've separated. They're no longer one big corporation, right?
Correct. Yeah, they've separated to like Landry's and different.
Yeah, Landry's, right? That's the one I was thinking of, which I think is out of Atlanta.
I think their home base is, it was at one time.
Going back in my memory. Okay, so 16 years. You started there as a server. You were a shift lead, you were assistant manager, general manager, then regional director, and then you were in charge of 13 locations. And by the way, this is fine dining. So when we had a couple of people on the show recently owning one restaurant or two restaurants, fine dining, they can understand how difficult that is. And you're running 13 of these locations. So I can only imagine the issues you probably have come across. We're going to get into those too. Then you went and worked for the Wahlburgers franchise. You were the director of operations overseas and in the United States, from locations to Key West, all across the Midwest. And actually overseas, you were in
Ramstein, Germany.
Ramstein, Germany. Okay. And then you did that for a few years, and they were not profitable, if I remember the story correctly. And believe, if I say something not correct, just jump in. They weren't profitable, so their job was to hire you, bring you in, and you make them profitable. You made these locations all profitable. Then they split them all up and sold them, so you were kind of out of a job. Yeah. So you were so good at your job, you basically got rid of your own job.
I worked myself out of it.
You worked, yeah, but that's okay because then Sullivans Group found out, the new Sullivans Group, and who bought Eddie Merlot's, they found out you were leaving Wahlburgers, so they called you back and said, hey, we want you back, even though you already left them. And you said, yeah, sure. So you went to Eddie Merlot's in Indiana.
Correct.
And you started working there for a little while. And then we had a conversation, you and I, one day.
We did at breakfast.
At the VFW. And I said to you, hey, if I run for commander, will you come and run the VFW, the canteen, which is the restaurant? And there's more to it than just the restaurant, but that's the main thing. And you laughed and said, yeah, sure, why not? And I said, just to be clear, you're leaving a very good 6-figure plus job, and you're going to take a huge pay cut, and you're going to have to deal with a lot of BS. You're like, yeah, sure, man, let's do it. And then like 1 week later, I said, guess what?
Yeah, literally. Called me on the phone. I was like, what?
I said, I'm the new commander. You're like, yeah, cool, congratulations. I was like, no. You got to give your notice. And the man of your word, you did. And that was over 3 years ago, because I've been the commander for 3 years now, I believe. And you have taken the VFW from not your regular grandpa's VFW. Not there was anything wrong with that, but the VFW that you're thinking about, the smoking, the cigarettes, old war stories, which we love all the war stories, but you've turned this into a awesome place. We have a $200,000 deck out back. We have live music. We have music at least once a week with DJs, bands. You don't get the food at the grocery store. You're not serving 20 meals at a time. You're serving hundreds. Yeah. Last Saturday, your breakfast that you guys did, I wasn't there. You did over 200 covers. Yeah. And this is not, this is breakfast to order. These are our meals to order. This isn't like a buffet. You've got steak meals. You've got
pancakes, French toast, eggs, any way you want, from sunny side up to scrambled omelets. I mean, it's
yeah. And make sure you talk right into the mic, brother. And same thing for lunch. You got a great lunch menu, dinner menu. You guys serve, and I say you guys because the show is about you. Obviously, I can say us, but for this show, I'm just going to talk about you doing it. The lunch menu is awesome. You guys got shrimp, you've got tacos, you got all kinds of stuff.
We go from vegetarian all the way to death on a plate. I mean, if you want a heart attack, we got that too.
We got that too.
It's a little bit of everything.
I like the dumplings.
Oh yeah,
you guys did the dumplings for a little while. You guys do a bunch of good stuff. But let's back it up, because obviously I could sit here for hours and talk about the VFW, and I'm sure a lot of people that are members of VFW would love to hear that. But let's back it up to you. So you're an 18-year-old kid. You're living in Arizona. You decide you want to go in the restaurant industry because you just get out of high school and it's a job, or was this a passion? Or
no, the whole plan, my dad was a Finnish blade man for construction, so that was the plan. I was going to be.
And what's a blade man for those people who don't know?
Finnish grade, so you get the road within a tenth of an inch.
Right.
That was before satellites or anything, so you had to manually do it, which I thought was amazing.
Right.
Until I had to watch it in 120-degree heat. And I'm like, oh no, this is not.
It's not for you.
It was like a bunch of 6-year-old guys in 120-degree heat. So I went and got a part-time job. My dad's like, well, why would you want to do that? And I literally told him that. I was like, Dad, I get paid every week. I'm around all kinds of fun young people, and there's air conditioning. And literally he was like, okay, I get it. And that was it.
You're like, there's air conditioning.
Yeah. It was hot there. So.
And so, obviously started off dishwashing. And there's a comment that you made the other day, and I think you said it earlier today, in the restaurant industry, when someone says, oh, you don't know this, or you should do this. And what do you say? I work my way.
I said, I didn't start at the top and work my way down. I had to go through every position.
Right.
And you should, you know. You don't know what you're talking about unless you've had to do it.
And if you haven't listened to Anthony's from Tony from Anthony's Chop House, that's one thing he said. He's literally done every job in the business. And one of his suggestions, which is the same as what you say, is if you're going to do this and you're going to own your own restaurant or be in charge, you need to know every job.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're going to come to you with questions, and you have to be able to either understand their frustration or have a solution, and anything helps. I learn more from people that failed than people that made it. Just being like, okay, don't do that.
So I'm not going to do that.
I'm not doing that. And that's the way it was. And it builds camaraderie, when you're working in the trenches and you're the boss and you're out there clearing tables. And I have no problem with that. I don't want to walk around the corner and hear you talking about your weekend while I'm busting tables. But if we're all out there together, let's do it. Let's do it together.
Right. Okay. So you're busting tables, you're doing dishes. And what was your first, was there one person that saw a little spark, or, because clearly I know your work ethic, and Justin can testify for that, because we've worked with you as a volunteer. You're doing this as a career, but we've watched how your work ethic doesn't waver. If you close at 2 or 3 in the morning and all of a sudden we find out there's an event at 7 in the morning that has to get set up for, I mean, you've slept in the car many times.
I bought a camper.
Yeah.
I bought a camper and people are like, really? And I'm like, yeah, that way I could just sleep there. Camper. That way I could sleep there, turn around and, get it.
To make sure everyone gets what they need.
Yeah. Sullivans was a very high-end steakhouse. There was a lot of competition. There was a lot of really good servers. The money was really good. And if you didn't work hard, you weren't going to get it. It was not okay, well, you've been here 10 years, so you get to do it. It's 10 years or 10 days. Whoever does the best job gets the job.
Right.
So.
Okay, so backing it up, we're working for Sullivans Group. Am I calling it right? No,
yeah.
Del Frisco Group?
Del Frisco Group, but Sullivans Steakhouse.
Okay, yeah. So you're working for them, and you start to get promoted. What do you think was that someone saw in you that they were promoting you over someone else? Because let's not kid ourselves. You started off as a dishwasher, then you're running 13 locations. And then you get recruited by another corporation, and then you're running operations in 2 internationally and in the U.S. as it started off as a dishwasher. So there's, Yeah,
I think the biggest thing was that I was willing to listen, do what they asked me to do the way they wanted me to do it, but continuously, on my own terms or my own time, see if there was a better way, and if there was, bring it to them.
Right.
And they like that.
So don't be a yes man, but also do be a yes man to some degree.
Yeah. If you want me to do it that way, this is you own this place, or this is what you expect, then I'll make sure that expectation is met, but it doesn't have to be 2 + 2 is 4. So is 3 + 1.
Right.
And if I can get there that way, then that's the way to do it. I didn't graduate high school. So I think my dad was very just happy to see me have a job. And then all of a sudden I was like shining.
Right.
So.
But that's great what you just said. 2 + 2 is 4, but so is 3 + 1. And you and I were in the kitchen one day or the galley, and we were getting slammed. And one individual came in and started saying like, "Hey, we should do it this way. We should do it this way." And you looked at him, and it was like a moment of like the water in the ocean just got really calm, and everything around us was like falling apart. We're getting hammered, and you looked at him, and you're like, "Oh, is that how you did it in your restaurant?" And the individual looked at you and go, "I've never owned a restaurant." And you're like, "Oh, okay, cool, thanks." And then the storm continued. I was like, "Dan, you got some good one-liners."
Yeah.
And I said that to you, and you go, "I've been doing this for a while."
Yeah.
Yeah. Where's the eggs?
Yeah. And I tell you, people, that's probably the hardest part of the VFW, especially, is that it is a family, and it's meant to be a family.
Correct.
And to be a group. So everybody wants to help. But the biggest problem is that everybody wants to help.
Yeah.
And
it's the greatest part about it. And it's also the biggest problem.
100%. And it's hard to tell somebody, I don't want or need your help right now.
Yeah. Especially a volunteer who's volunteering to help veterans.
Yeah.
Right.
And how do you tell them, like, no, I don't sit down. No.
Sit down. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And they want to be part of something.
And I think that's where a skill that you have that a lot of people just don't understand at like a club like we have, that you don't discredit them. You end up finding something else for them to do that's kind of more in their wheelhouse, so it doesn't slow up productivity. You're like, you know what? You're not a good runner, but I'm not going to tell you you're not a good runner. But you know what? I really need someone setting tables.
Yeah.
And you killed it last time.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to repurpose their drive.
Yeah.
It's better to hold them back than to push them forward.
And we joke about the toast guy, right? Which
Yeah.
truly is one of the hardest jobs in the kitchen. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah.
But we had a couple people running through toast, and they thought it was it's the guy or girl who's making toast, for anyone who doesn't know what that is. But if you gotta visualize selling 200 breakfasts, that every breakfast has toast, and some are white toast, some are brown toast, wheat toast, all the different kinds of toast. We have all English muffins, and that can't slow up the meal because the meal's already ready to go, and you got a table of 8 ready for their food, but you're waiting on somebody to butter some toast because they're so slow on the toast. And Justin's over there scratching his head.
Well, when I was living in LA, there was a whole thing where no restaurants in LA would butter toast. you had to butter your own toast because that job was so hard for most restaurants to do.
Yeah.
You could not get buttered toast in any restaurant in LA.
Well, it's funny because when I first took over, and someone's going to correct me, and I don't really care. They were doing like 25, 30 breakfasts. Might have been whatever, tomato. I don't really care. But it's grown since then because of the people before us. I'm not saying that. They set the foundation. They set the foundations.
We've just kind of maybe harnessed or fine-tuned it.
And I remember when I was talking to Seth about toast, I go, this is going to be a bottleneck. He goes, not if it's done right. I'm like, yeah, okay, this guy, right? And next thing you know, we got Toastmaster, and and Toastmaster's back there and listening to direction. And Seth sat him down. He's like, I don't care what anyone says to you. Don't listen to them. You only listen to me. I will call the toast. Someone comes in and wants to touch the toast, near the toast, come by the toast. You're in charge of toast. Don't talk to them. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty strict about the toast. But you know what? Toast don't hold up our meals.
No, because you don't want $1 waiting on a dime.
Yeah.
And it's so hard.
And that dime has to be there.
It has to. And you're not going to go to a table. I mean, how ridiculous does it sound when you go to a table and say, all 13 of your steaks are ready as soon as the guy can make toast? And they're like, seriously?
Yeah. And you don't want the toast cold. Nope. And you don't want, and then people always, I want an English muffin. It's okay. And there's only so many toasters.
Yeah,
I mean it's 6, 8, the little holes. It can only cook so much toast. Okay, we went down the rabbit hole of toast. Okay, so you're working for Sullivans organization, or you're working for Sullivans Del Fresco, and you're the general manager.
Yeah,
and they put you in charge of multiple locations, fine dining. Well, how high was the stress level?
In the beginning, it was very stressful because I was not to pat myself on the back, but I was.
That's what we're here for, patting you on the back.
Well, so I was the youngest GM in the company history. And then when I became a regional director, I was the youngest regional director by like 15 years. So these guys are all
seasoned.
Oh my gosh. And just sharks in the water waiting. So we would do this every 30 days. You would go down and you would have a performance, for your restaurants. And you had to literally know, I did one time. You had to know why you were missing a Philly cheesesteak on Wednesday night, July 23rd, and why your food cost was what it was. And if you didn't, the rest of the crowd, the rest of the leaders all got yelled at that they didn't yell at you.
Right.
That was the culture.
Yeah.
So, it was very nerve-wracking.
Yeah. So what's the worst thing that happened to you during that time that you would look back and go, God, I messed that up?
Oh, there's a million.
I love it.
There's just so many things that I could have made easier or focused on that I didn't need to focus on. I think that's probably where I've grown the most.
So that's experience, right?
100%. And it's not that it's not important, but in the order of importance, it's toast. You start, put the carriage before the horse, and I got really lucky because my favorite thing was the team. I cannot serve every table. I cannot cook every meal. I don't claim to be the best server or the best cook.
You're a pretty good cook, though.
Not bad.
I can't give you credit for serving because, you're average.
Yeah. but I built a great team. And I did. I built a great team. And they all believed in me. We all treated each other as a team. I had a guy tell me when things are going great, you look out at your team. When things are going bad, you look in the mirror and see what you need to fix. And because I hired that team and we got down to the basics, I won GM of the Year 3 years in a row and then Regional of the Year 4 years in a row. And
so those are different awards too. So that's 7 years of awards.
Yeah, because I was a GM, and then GM is a GM.
And I just want to be clear. So you were with this group for 16 years. Obviously, started off as at the lowest.
Yeah,
and then make your way up to GM and you manager, all of this stuff. And you won. Repeat those awards.
So I got GM of the Year for 3 years. Then I got promoted to a regional, and then got regional because they split up.
Yeah.
So everybody had like 6 stores across from Anchorage, Alaska, all the way to Wilmington, Delaware.
Okay.
And then I won that
4 years.
4 years in a row.
So 7 years of your career with them, you were top dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. So going back to recruiting and when I told some people in the industry that knew your name that you were going to be potentially leaving and coming to VFW, I was laughed at. And they said absolutely no way that Seth would ever leave this career and go over to this side of the fence, nonprofit club organization. And I said, no, he's my buddy. He said he would do it. And then obviously a week later you did. But I do want to go back to your team but I want to jump from your team, because we're going to jump around a little bit here. But
Yeah.
when you say your team, so at the VFW, because obviously I'm there quite a bit, and we have an awesome team because of you. But we have servers and bartenders that have all come from your top steakhouses and top restaurants all around here. Young, beautiful, good-looking women and men that come in and have left a good job,
a top-notch, lucrative, and name-known job here in Carmel, Indiana, where everybody goes and has a reserve sign and it's treated a certain way, and that was, I thought, going to be the hardest part.
And people talk about, some of these servers and bartenders, they make easily six figures, $150,000 a year all day long. And, they're going to take a huge pay cut when they come and work at the VFW. And the fact is that's not true, because what's happened is you and your team have grown this Carmel VFW Post 10,003 so much that the actual money that they are making does offset the money that they were making at the other places. But it's a different stress level because it's more family oriented.
Correct.
And they're working for you. You're a no BS guy, but you're also very understanding. And if there's a concert someone needs to go to, you'll pick up their shift. I've witnessed it.
Yeah.
And if there's a late night and they might not be able to make it in because it was too late of a night, you'll help cover for them, within some reasons. You're not going to let it happen. Unfortunately, you do have to let people go. And we've had to let a couple of good people go.
Yeah.
And they've all come back and begged for their job back because they know the money that they're missing and the opportunity and the comradeship.
And that's what it's about. I mean, when you can make the same money you're making for, and there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's where I started. It's where, but to be able to work in that environment around those people and hear those stories and really care about the people that you're serving, alcohol and food to.
Yeah.
And knowing that this guy or man or woman literally put their life on the line for you to be able to do this.
Yeah.
And then you're going to make money.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. And the food, because you've got the cost, and I want to go back to Del Frisco, and I also want to go back to Wahlburgers. But right now I do want to focus on the VFW because, again, you don't own the VFW, but you treat it like it's yours, right? And I think so does your team. I don't want to say staff because it's your staff, but I don't want to say staff. I want to call it your team. Your team, every one of them, even when they're off the clock, are helping out. We do events there, and I can tell you I've went in there on certain days, and I've seen some of the girls, the bartenders, the women, and I'm like, oh, you guys are working today? They're like, no. And they're just organizing things, and I'm like, are you on the clock? They're like, oh, no, absolutely. No, I'm off today. I'm just helping out. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Who does that? Who goes in on your off days just to help out?
Right. And they make it so, they're not like, I got to do it. No, nobody asked them to.
Well, that's because of you. That's because of your leadership.
Yeah. I probably tell people no to helping out more than asking people to help. Because
Right.
sometimes I'm like, you guys have to take a break.
And in talking about volunteers, and then I want to go back to then I'll go back to Sullivans, then to Wahlburgers. But talking about volunteers, there's been breakfasts that we've had 30, 35 volunteers there, all wearing the black shirts to help out.
Yeah.
Filling water, filling ice, and they're there at 5, 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
On a Saturday after a Friday night. And
Yeah,
they're there
during the
smiling
winter.
in the winter, in the snow, in the heat.
Yeah. And they love it.
They love it.
What can I do?
Yeah.
You
I'm
know,
here to help. I'm here to
yeah.
serve.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
they really do.
You've created a great culture that is just, it so embodies what all VFWs should do. And I still want to do this project with you, that we come up with I don't want to call it an SOP because I feel like that's too standardized, even though that's really what it is.
It is, yeah.
But where we can go, and when a VFW say, hey, we're doing something wrong, we only have this many members. I mean, we've made All-American multiple years in a row. When Joel was the commander, when Ken was the commander, me being the commander. And at the end of the day, it has nothing to do with us commanders. It's the team around us. And I get people come up to me all the time. They're like, it's changed so much since you were the commander. I'm like, no, it's changed so much because all the people around here that are on the team.
Yeah, it's all.
And I think that's very important. And I appreciate when someone's like, you're doing a great job leading the team. Thank you. I appreciate that. I own a company. I like to think I know how to talk to employees, but they're not just employees. They're your family. They're your team.
Yeah.
Okay. So backing up. So what made you leave Sullivans and go to Wahlburgers? You got recruited, obviously.
I did get recruited, and I thought I would never leave Sullivans.
16 years is a lot of time.
It was. And, and it was, I don't want to say job security because you had to provide. One of the sayings in the restaurant business is you're only as good as your last shift. But
you're only as good as your last shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just went to Alaska because we had to let the entire crew go. The from the executive chef and GM, all the assistant managers. So I had to go up there by myself.
Because you were shutting it down?
No, because there
was a problem.
Yeah, there were some problems.
Oh, man.
So this is Anchorage, Alaska.
Yeah.
I fly up there. I'm there for 6 months straight, every day, open to close, because I got to run it and try to hire somebody, train somebody, send them off to training for 6 weeks. I was just tired.
And you got a rigorous training program.
Oh, yeah. It's like for a GM, I think it's, for a GM is 12 weeks. I mean, and you have to know the menu verbatim. So if it's candied and candy pecans and brown sugar, you put brown sugar and candy pecans, that's wrong. And
you're a sommelier and you don't drink wine.
No.
Yeah. But you had to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got my level 2. And I just was at that moment, it was just one of those, I don't want to, man, I'm so tired. And I think they came to us with, because it's always more. And I just went, I think I'm going to do something different. I'll either regret it and know that I've been doing the right thing, or I'll go, why did I do that long?
Right.
And Wahlburgers called, and it was an opportunity to do something different, which is the part that I love the most. Is I had done all the steps up to that point, but I'd never been a director of operations where you have really a say in what you're implementing and what you're doing.
And you help and correct me if I'm wrong, with design of the restaurants when they opened up. You were there
Yeah, we did 2 restaurant openings, which I'd never been a part of, which was so cool because it's, everything looks good on paper, and somebody who's never worked in a restaurant's like, yeah, this looks great, until you're the guy who has to run all the way 10 feet to a computer to ring it in, then run back for the beer, little things like that. So we got to design all that. That was cool. It was a great opportunity to learn just things that I had never done.
Right.
Got to meet, Mark and Donnie.
Well, the important question is, were you on the TV show?
Actually, so on the HBO show, we were all there. Myself, our CEO, I would call him,
right.
For the franchise, and another gentleman that worked with us. We all 3 got to go when Mark and them were trying to get in India.
Yeah.
So we got to be there when they did that big conference meeting.
Oh, okay.
So we were there, and he was really nice. We got to do golf tournaments with him and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So we were in the background of a show.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll take that.
I'll take that. It was much closer than I was.
Yeah, exactly.
Justin's like, yeah, I wasn't even near the show.
Yeah, and it gave me a great opportunity to, the name carries a lot of clout. So it gave me a great opportunity to have friends that I met here and introduce them to them down there in the golf tournaments and things like that, and just brought him into Paul came into the VFW just to say hi to everybody.
Right.
And so, yeah, it was great.
Yeah. And so you were staying at a hotel.
Yeah.
And I'm going to back it up a little bit. You're staying at a hotel. You were here for months, and you were staying at the hotel right next to the VFW. What is the name of that hotel?
Home 2 Suites.
Home 2 Suites. So you're staying there. So in the evening time, you'd come over to the VFW, have a couple drinks, have some food. And then that's when you started realizing it's a pretty cool spot.
Yeah, so I was supposed to be here 2 weeks. I got here Valentine's Day. I was going to be here 2 weeks. I ended up being here for 6 months opening the store because we were just coming out of the COVID. So hiring was extremely hard. And I didn't realize that it was a VFW. I thought it was a post office.
Oh, looking at it
from the hotel. And I remember calling my dad.
Because it says post on it, right?
Yeah.
Too? Yeah.
And you guys cuss, right?
Oh, yeah, you can. I'm just trying to be better at it.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to fly off the handle. But,
you can.
But I called my dad and I was like, these motherfuckers love their post office. He's like, what are you talking about?
That's great.
I'm like, they're in there 2, 3 in the morning dropping off packages and shit. I was like, I don't get it. Must be a Midwest thing. And he's like, what? And I'm like, yeah. But if you look at the building and you have no idea, it just looks like an old
post office.
Post office.
Yeah. A traditional post office. That square.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, I don't get it, man. So then
one day you're like, I got to mail a letter.
The wind came through and there was a sign up on the top that said open to the public. And
I remember that sign.
And it'd blown over, so you couldn't see it. Well, then the wind took it and blew it back. So then I saw it and realized, oh, it's a VFW.
Oh, because it was covering the VFW.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And so then I called my dad and I was like, it's a VFW. And he's like, oh, you can go in. I said, no, I'm not a member. And he goes, Seth, I'm a veteran. He goes, you can go in.
I'm Vietnam.
Yeah. He goes, you can absolutely go in.
Sign up and be a member.
And I, in my head, I had exactly what you had mentioned, just walking in and everybody's smoke-filled room and staring at you. And it really wasn't.
No.
Everybody was like, hey, where are you staying? How you doing?
Yeah.
So.
And then you met a lot of cool people.
I did.
Me including one of them.
Absolutely.
And to the point where you're like, I'm still with Wahlburgers, but instead of commuting, I'm gonna move my dad up here because we've got a good VA and there's a lot of benefits of living in out here. And so you end up moving here, and then you still are traveling because you've got Key West and you've got the other locations for Wahlburgers, and then Wahlburgers, the franchise starts selling the profitable ones.
Yeah, as soon as we turned a profit, they pulled out. They wanted to invest in a different. A winery and a hotel.
Yeah.
So they started selling them.
And so as they start selling them, you're like,
Yeah. I mean, I was born at night, but not last night. And I was like, this doesn't, what are you going to do? And I remember like the other two guys were like, no, we're fine. I said, fine doing what? I said, there's nothing to
there's gonna be no
do.
job.
Yeah.
Who are we managing?
What are we running?
Yeah.
And literally, I think I got the call. I was on the phone with them telling them that, and I got a call. And they're like, hey, and I said, yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
So,
and at that time, Sullivans had reached out.
They had just reached out like 2 weeks prior.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm just getting this, been here for a while. I want to give this. I told them that I'd work it. So I'm not just going to jump ship. And, I called him. I was like, you know what? I really thought about it. And you know what?
It might be the right time.
I chose you guys over there.
Yeah. That is funny. And I think it's interesting because when you left Sullivans Group, to come to the VFW, they actually kept your employee number and said, anytime you want to come back,
Yeah.
your job is waiting for you.
Yeah. I mean, I had no intention of leaving again because I'd kind of, I felt like I was back at home at Sullivan's. I'd kind of made some rounds and ended up back where it was. So to me, I was kind of like, okay, this is where I'm going to go. And I was at breakfast with you, and everybody was talking about you becoming commander. And I was like, no, why would he do that right now?
Yeah.
And I remember you looked at me and you're like, this is my way of giving back. He's like, why are you here? I remember you're like, why are you here? You work for a restaurant 365 days a year. You're here every other Saturday. Volunteering.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And then that's when we made the deal. So when you called me, I was like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
It'll be another, to me, it was a great opportunity to work with you, work with the vets, my way of giving back since I didn't serve.
Right.
And really one thing that we talked about that I'd always wanted was I wanted my own restaurant and wasn't in a situation where I could do that. So this was, I don't want to say as close as I could get because it wasn't like a second place, but it was a great opportunity to see if, things you and I had talked about, me and my other people had talked about would actually work.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, it was there already. So let's do it. So.
Yeah, I think the story is great because I think your story is amazing because when you can work for I'll call it a corporation, that these big companies, and typically when you leave, you're dead to them.
Oh yeah,
they're like,
normally you don't even get to finish out your 2 weeks.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, thanks, bye. And by the way, all your shit in your office will get shipped to you. You're actually going to be walked out, and your key doesn't work anymore.
Yep,
and it's quick.
Yeah,
and I remember you telling me you're like. When I was like, so how much longer do you have left? You're like, no, I'm done, but I can go back if I want. I'm like, yeah, that doesn't work like that. And you're like, oh yeah. And I don't know if you showed me a letter or something, or I saw something that it literally was like, your employee number is going to stay. Anytime you want to come back. But that just shows the amount of impact you had on that industry, that business, that group, that they were like, okay, we were losing him, but let's not burn this bridge because it's normally the other way around.
Right.
Right. So I think that's like a huge pat on the back for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And it is because it's just hard to find good people.
Right.
Like really hardworking.
And it gets harder and harder.
Oh man. I think it does. I remember one time, actually it was you and I, and we had two kids come in to volunteer at the VFW. And the one kid, remember, go get him. He was in there, he's sweeping, he's cleaning. I think we both ran from opposite sides, and you asked him about getting a job with you.
Oh, yeah.
And I was going to ask him to get a job with me.
Yes.
And we're like, well, what do you make? And he's like, well, sometimes I make 15, sometimes I make 17.
Oh,
and we're like, how does that work? He's like, well, I make 15, but if somebody tries to call off, I tell my manager I won't cover it until last minute. And then they tell me that they'll pay me 17 if I come in.
A shit different.
And at first I remember like in my head, like,
genius.
Well, at first I was like, you little piece of shit. Like, you're the problem. And then I went, oh, that's pretty smart though.
Yeah.
I mean,
So I thought, I think I thought the opposite. I was like, genius. And I was like, oh, you'll never work for me because I wouldn't put up with that shit.
Right. I don't think I had the balls at 17 to do that. I was just like, okay, I'll do it.
Not.
Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, you want me to come in? Sure.
I never told my boss no. It was how high, when they said jump. It was that was, I remember that. But that's who you're dealing with. They all want to be heard.
They all want to be
right
heard.
or wrong.
Yeah.
They all want to be heard. Everybody's perfect. Nobody else makes the same mistake. So
yeah, and looking back at it, is there any manager, general manager, or just a coworker, maybe it was even a server that was working alongside of you, under you, or above you, that there was a lesson that they taught you that you're like, I'll never forget that? I'm sure there's tons, but is there any that just stick in your head?
Yeah, I mean there really are tons.
Or one individual that you're like, you know what, Kathy so-and-so.
Yeah, probably.
She was just a rock star, and I learned so much from her.
Yeah, I would say probably Jim Oboyski, and he's the guy that either made or broke your career, and saw something in me, and was very.
And what group was he with?
He was with Sullivans.
Okay,
and he was a regional when I started as a dishwasher, and he was hard. I mean, back then there was 300 applications a week, so. They weren't begging for people.
Yeah.
And I remember I set this table up and was like, I had overheard, and I'm a listener. I think that helped me because you'll hear people say things they don't know you heard them. So then when you do it, they're like, oh yeah, this guy gets it. And he liked all real straight lines. So I made this table, this long top, and I made all the lines straight, and he walked by, and I remember he stopped and he's like, who did this table? And I was like, I did. And he's like, man, the lines are straight. This is perfect. And he didn't even finish the sentence because I wasn't wearing a t-shirt underneath my button-up white shirt.
Right.
I mean, he stopped the compliment and was like, didn't I tell you to wear a shirt? You do it again, and I will fucking fire you.
And you're like, what about the straight lines?
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, but this was a good thing here. I mean, but that's the way he was.
Yeah.
It was either right or it was wrong. There was no gray area, which is the hardest part in a restaurant, because as much as you want there to not be any gray area, there's gray area. Your medium rare and my medium rare are two totally different medium rares.
Even though they're not on paper.
Correct.
But for what I think of medium rare and what you think of medium rare is not the same as someone else thinks of medium rare. But if you go to a restaurant, a medium rare is a medium rare.
Right.
But at the end of the day, the customer, it's not like that.
And a lot of the customers, no matter what their age is, but I try to tell the servers, they get really upset, and I go, this guy, stormed the beach of Normandy. You're not going to teach him what a steak is at this point. Like, let him think whatever he wants. Yeah. If he wants to order it well done and he calls it rare, just know that.
Just know that.
Get it for him. Who
just
cares?
know his rare's well done.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can't get mad. Yeah. That's the hardest part, because as soon as you get mad, I think of it as they win.
Yeah.
I had a manager that he was a really good friend of mine. He was a cook. He would get so pissed off, and rightfully so, but he'd be losing it. And he's like, these guys, they don't get it. They're never going to get it. And I said, good. And he's like, how can you be happy? And I, bro, if we went in there and told them one time what to do and they listened, I wouldn't have a job longer than a day.
Yeah.
I said, this is job security.
Yeah.
They need somebody here, just like I need somebody, you always up to a certain point. So that's the hardest part, is not getting mad.
Well, it's funny, especially at the VFW. I know there's a lot of volunteers, and we appreciate all of them. And then we have our officers that are the comrades, and there's different parts of the, and it was interesting. There was an individual that came and complained to you and said, Darin hasn't been here, because I travel a lot, as everyone knows. And whether it's for the podcast or for National Chimney, trade shows, events, all that good stuff, and personal travel. And I remember you looked at him and said, I talk to him every day.
Yeah.
He knows exactly what's going on.
Always.
And then your comment to me that day when you called me, you're like, I will never not tell you something. How did you say it to me? I'll always make sure you know what's going on before someone else calls you, whether it's something good or bad that's happened, but you'll be aware of it, so you'll be prepared for the call.
Yeah, my job is to make sure you're never surprised.
Yeah. And then I'd randomly get a call. Did you know this happened? I'm like, yeah, I already know. It's being handled. Oh, you already know? Yeah, I just told you that.
Yeah.
Conversation's over, man.
Yeah.
I don't need to know any more from you. I already know what's going on. Thank you.
Yeah, and probably more accurately.
Correct.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially when it's a private club as opposed to like a, there's so much, I don't want to say drama, because I don't know if that's the right word,
It's a different set of rules.
It's a different set of rules.
There's
certain rules that we have to, and there's certain rules we have to follow too.
Yeah,
besides the excise rules. I mean, like just the national rules.
Yeah, I mean, and just the guidelines. It's set up completely different than another restaurant. There's so much that you don't have to deal with that a regular restaurant would have to, but there's so much that you have to deal with that a regular or vice versa.
Yeah,
you know?
Right.
And you're just like, oh my gosh, I can't do that.
Right.
Oh, why not? Because you're a club. Okay. Yeah. All right.
What was your favorite thing working with Wahlburgers?
I had never been a director of operations, so really to have my hand in, like, put my ideas out there, like, we should do the menu this way, we should make this look like this, we should add this doesn't work, and it wasn't just, this is what we're going to do, make sure it gets done.
Right.
Which you have to do that first, because there's no point in having great ideas if nobody's going to listen to you and do them. But
right.
But it was so cool to just really be part of something and to build 2 restaurants from nothing.
From zero.
From nothing. Just empty buildings, and then watch it all and hire them all and have a grand opening.
Even to having the flowers out front you're involved.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like
every
everything.
single part.
Yeah.
And it was really cool here because I kind of got this feeling I was going to move here, and I met you, and I met, a bunch of people, and I was able to use some of them or get them involved and use things that they do and help them out.
Yeah.
And they helped me out. So it was a cool feeling.
Much easier to do here than somewhere like a big city like Phoenix.
Oh yeah. Well, in Tucson, Sullivans, what was great about Sullivans is I grew up in Tucson, which is kind of a small compared to Phoenix. Phoenix has everything. Tucson
What's
has
the population
nothing.
of Tucson?
Maybe like 1 million, maybe.
Small.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I'm being sarcastic.
I mean, no, but I think like maybe 1 million now.
Yeah.
But like Phoenix, it'd be like 5 million. And probably neither one of those numbers are correct, but I mean, there's a huge gap in numbers. But Sullivan's was always known for building their locations outside of like main cities. So you wouldn't have one in, Palm Desert. You have one in Palm Springs, or you'd have one in Palm Desert, not in Palm Springs.
Okay.
So it was always like a little bit off. So, it was just cool to be able to do something more mainstream and be right there, with people that work right alongside you.
Yeah.
And they were all excited about it. I had more people. We did like a kind of a pre grand opening,
I remember.
Oh yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
Do you remember the lady came in with her dog because she thought you were open? And she was because she lived upstairs or in that building. And she came in and she's like, who do I order from? And then you looked and you're like, oh, because you realized she wasn't with the group friends. Yeah. And you looked at her, you're like, oh, we're not open. While we're eating and everyone's drinking. She's like, because it wasn't even open. It wasn't even like a pre-open party. It was just like, we open tomorrow for friends and family. We're going to go in there tonight. And I just remember, and she goes, oh, should I leave? You're like, nah, what do you want?
Yeah.
You gave her a beer.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we all went in there, but it was just cool to be part of something like that. And to meet all these people. And I ended up moving here. My dad lived in Tucson. He moved from Montana in 55. So he'd been in Arizona and Tucson in a small town, Oracle in Tucson for 55, 65 years.
Yeah. And he's a car guy.
Yeah, huge car guy.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about cars. I know that's not about the restaurants, but I think it's pretty cool. You have a badass Blazer, a 1990 Blazer, and it's beautiful. And your dad has a 1930.
He has a 1932 Ford Coupe with the 396, and then he actually just picked up a 1990 Chevy truck. So yeah, we like the 90s.
And are we allowed to say how old he is? Well, let's just say because he just had a birthday.
He did. He just turned 80 years old.
80 years old. Oh, I wasn't gonna say 80. I was thinking, God, he just turned 80.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looks great for 80.
Oh, he does look
He
great.
looks horrible for 40, but he looks great for 80.
When you sent me that text, you're like, I got to head back to the VFW. My dad's doing shots right now for his birthday.
Yeah. Yeah, he was. I'm like,
with all the girls.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Everyone loves
at the bar.
Butch.
Yeah, they all like Butch. So, no, and he loves it. That was my biggest concern was moving here, changing all that. But
and we don't really have cold winters, but every once in a while we get a little cold snap here. And I still remember one day he came in. You think we were in the northern Alaska? He was so bundled. You probably went and bought all the winter clothes that Meyer had or something. He came in and he looks at me. He goes, "It's real cold here," and I'm like, it's like 30.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Yeah, and he grew up in Montana and like North Dakota.
I haven't been there in years. I'm like,
Yeah, I was like, clearly.
you're going to keep that hat on and coat inside on? Cool.
Yeah.
Trying to warm up.
Well, in the summers, and when I invited him out to come and look at it, I waited because he's like, all right, I'll come out. I was like, no, just wait. I'm really busy because I wanted it to be summer.
Nice weather. Yeah.
And just see everything the way it looks, you know, with downtown going and everything. So, we've got, we found a great little house for the two of us to be able to work on the cars. And that's something we've kind of always
your garage
done.
is huge.
Yeah, it's
or multiple.
double. Yeah, it's like
I don't think I've seen a garage like that, especially in a neighborhood house.
I didn't either. It's the reason I bought it because I was like, whatever. And then they showed us that, and I went, oh, okay, yeah, let's do it.
And I think that might be a reason why someone else didn't buy it, because they're like, oh, I would rather have an extra bedroom.
Correct.
But you could also turn that into a bedroom. But you're like,
yeah, it's got water heater.
Yeah, I mean,
AC,
you've got
everything.
How many cars you can play around in that driveway and in the garage?
I can put 9 in the driveway, and I can put 6 in the 2 garages.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
For a neighborhood house.
Yeah, for a cul-de-sac neighborhood house.
Neighborhood house.
Yeah.
Because do you know what size your property is? Half acre, 3/4 of an acre?
I think it's half an acre.
Yeah.
Because it's like right up to the property lines. On one of the sides. So.
And then you got a little pond back there you can fish in.
Yeah, go fishing in the lake. Yeah.
Or the lake.
Yeah, and it's a 2-bedroom, you know, so it's, you know, I didn't need more than that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm past the kid stage and all that kind of stuff. So.
And he loves it and you love it. And that's all that matters.
Yeah.
So let's talk about VFW.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've touched a little bit on, obviously, Sullivans and Wahlburgers. What would you say your biggest reward for you personally at the VFW is?
To be honestly exactly what I went there for, which was to see something that I knew could be something become something,
right?
And have all these people buy in, and you know, not to be cheesy, but you know, be on the front lines with you and willing to sacrifice, not their life, but their careers and the money and the glory of being downtown on Main and some of the greatest restaurants, and to say, no, let's do this for this cause. I think it's awesome.
I think that's a great answer. And I'm going to bring Justin in on this because Justin was involved in the American Legion in Hollywood. Is that correct? Yep. And you guys helped redevelop it and put you guys raised like $1 million for it or something. I don't remember what you told me, but quite a bit. And then when you started getting involved here, obviously you make movies and you produce the podcast and a bunch of other things, production company and all that good jazz. But when you started getting involved at VFW, you would go around and tell people. We'd be at like a steakhouse. Let's say we're at Harry and Izzy's downtown Indy, or Anthony's Chop House, or Monterey, or Savor, all people that are on the show. And you'd say, hey, have you been to the VFW? And their first response is, well, first, am I allowed to go there? Or what's the VFW? It's Veterans of Foreign War. Am I allowed to go there? You are. We have days open to the public. You can sign in. We go over all that. And they're like, so what goes on there? And he would always be like,
anything you want goes on there.
Yeah.
It's one of the greatest places ever. When I moved to Carmel and started, I just happened, because of my service at the American Legion, I knew there was an American Legion here also, but I just happened to live across the street from the VFW. So started going in there and just met everybody. It was so great. And there's a camaraderie there that I think to me speaks to that place so much, is what once everyone wants to get involved, like Seth was saying, it is like a family. And, you know, I'll go there. You know, I work from home, so I'll set up my office in there for the day and hang out with everybody. Or, you know, they've got a poker game. They've got, you know, pool tables, dartboards. The food is amazing.
I think that's what blows people away, the food.
Yeah.
Like my wife's a vegetarian. She can go in there and eat a veggie burger. She can have all kinds of salads. You have more options there for her than most restaurants.
Yeah. And they're all done right, because my biggest thing in my entire career was I'd rather do 5 things perfect than 20 things okay.
Yeah.
And everything there is good. It's all made from scratch. And that was our big thing, is we wanted everybody to be able to do it with dietary restrictions and, you know, the age group, and certain people can have things. So that's awesome to hear.
And I'm trying to remember when this episode is going to come out. It doesn't matter. But there's a big event coming up.
One of them is, well, we have the rummage sale.
That'll already be gone when this
That'll
is out.
be gone. But then we have the Rib Fest, which we partner with Building a Refuge.
And Building a Refuge is an amazing organization. You've heard Clark talk about it on the podcast. It's a men's mental health.
Yeah.
It's absolutely great. I was on their show They do so much for men's mental health. They do so much with the VFW. But this event they're doing this year with the VFW, they've been doing this for like 18 years with other organizations.
Correct. Yeah, like donate a coat or like all kinds of.
It's like a
charities.
coat drive. Yeah, and they bring in. There'll be, if I was to estimate, there'll be over 500 people there.
Oh, right now we have almost 400 RSVPs. He says they normally do triple that, so we're looking at anywhere between 1,000 to, I'd say, 1,200 to 1,500 people.
Yeah, not your grandpa's VFW.
No, that's a lot of grandpas.
So that's a lot. Of
it's gonna be, and it's gonna be so cool. We've got music all day,
right?
You know, and like not just, I mean, all kinds of different music. So I mean, that's the cool part is you can go and the vibe will change all throughout the day of.
Yeah, we'll have to put a little thing up about building refuge too, so we can give them a shout out.
Yeah, and the best part about Ribfest, standout stories playing.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
A little plug. There.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That is awesome. Yeah, because they'll be out on the deck. We got that brand new bar that we built.
Oh, that bar is amazing.
Yeah, it really is. People
shout out to
Josh.
Shout out to Josh. Do it again.
Yeah.
Shout out to Josh.
Yeah, shout out to Josh.
I mean, he tarped that thing in and just went to town and said, "No, I don't need any help. Just make sure people don't come in here and give me their volunteer opinions."
And they did.
And they did. But he just said, "Hey, get with Darin, get with Seth," and he built
12 days. I think it took him.
He built a beautiful.
It looks really amazing.
It's
does.
beautiful.
It's as good as any restaurant I've ever been to. I mean, and I'm being dead serious.
Oh, I'm being serious.
I mean, there's nobody. There's different bars, but there's nothing better. I mean, it looks like that deck was built around the bar.
Correct.
And it's just everybody feels at home there. And like we had the huge luau event with like 800 people. People were parking down at, restaurants and Meyer and stuff walking.
Other restaurants were running out of parking. We were getting phone calls from other restaurants saying, "Hey, these people can't park here." We're like, "I can't. That's not my job to tell them they can't park there."
Yeah. So with that and the Rib Fest coming up, music all day, and the outside bar will be going, and we'll have our great team there and volunteers helping.
And then after that, the next big event is the military ball. Oscar is the lead on this. Oscar is retired Navy, absolute amazing guy. He's put in so much volunteer work since he's retired. Came in and he's found a home there, and we're lucky to have him by all means. But it's our first ball. It's our inaugural ball. He's done several of these balls in the past in his career, and he's got Gio helping. Gio does a lot of work at the VFW. He's the is he the president? No, he's the
senior vice.
He's a senior vice.
Yeah, Kayla Wyatt's the president.
That's right, Kayla's.
And then,
that's right, because you just had elections.
That's
right.
They just kind of changed over. But
yeah,
Gio does a great job, and he's very in tune with what we want to accomplish there.
Correct.
So he's a great person to be able to like, would you do this? And he'll go, yeah, this is the way, or this is the way we have done it.
And Gio has a lot of connections in the city, and he's not the guy, in my opinion, that is going to just try to do everything himself. He's going to rely on his resources. Sometimes, obviously we all hold things a little tight, but he'll rely on his resources and make sure he's using the right people, whether it's city people or other people. We've got a lot of individuals that are donating money to help the event, so that's going to be a great event, and that is September 13th.
Yes.
Then
we've got golf tournament after that. I mean, we've got all year, and we are open, Thanksgiving and Christmas.
And last year at the golf tournament, we raised over $10,000.
Right.
Yeah. And that's done by Rock. Rock is our chaplain.
Yeah.
Rock is a absolute, and I don't want to just say badass Vietnam vet, but I mean, he's done some public speaking in his past. And if you've ever had the opportunity, you can Google him, look him up, his story. It's like mind blowing, especially when you just see him at the VFW, just walking around, drinking his coffee or having, smoking his cigarette out back. He's the nicest guy ever. If you knew his story, it's mind blowing. He's an absolute beast.
That's probably the coolest part about working at the VFW is, a lot of these people, a lot of the soldiers and veterans, they don't want to talk about it, or it's not something that they talk about daily. And, yourself included, Rock, all these, to be able to hear their stories because they'll talk about it there. But I mean, I would have never guessed that.
Right.
Like you said, I mean, Rock, never once. I mean, and then you hear the stories and you're like, are you serious? I mean, it's better than any movie I've ever seen, more action.
It's real.
Yeah. And you're like, you did that? And he's like, yeah. Well, I was like 17 then, and you're God. And then
you're like,
you go,
oh my God, that makes it even worse.
Yeah,
or better. I mean, I don't know.
I was complaining about construction, working out in the sun at 17. So, no, that's awesome. That's one of the coolest parts is all the different people that you meet there.
Yeah. And you've done, and I know I've touched on this, but I think this is important because we talk about this with the other restaurant owners. And again, this is you're the anomaly on this series because I wanted you on the show, one, to highlight your skills and your ability and capabilities that you have done throughout your career, starting off as a dishwasher, making your way up to, running an international restaurant group, really, because in multiple countries, and being from the bottom to the top, knowing every single position. But I think one of the things I need to highlight again, and I already mentioned it, is the way you bring in staff, and I'm going to call them staff for this part of the conversation. You bring in staff, and then you turn this staff into a team.
Right.
And then this team becomes so loyal and so good at what they do. It's such a well-oiled machine. And I know I kind of touched on that earlier, but I definitely want to reiterate that because I think that's one of the things that you have such good talent for. That, and I don't know if it was something that your father instilled in you over time, or if it was just different managers. But you made a comment earlier. You learn so much from people of what not to do. And I think because you've had such a great career in this industry, you can bring those skills to this melting pot of the VFW that has this whole different group of people from all over the world.
Yeah.
Right? Because people just end up here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you've done such a phenomenal job. I know we've been at it just about an hour. Justin, do you have anything before I do my closing remarks? And I've got one or two more questions for him, and then a little gift.
Well, I mean, I think just your sort of everyday philosophy that people can kind of get some inspiration from, and what it is that makes you so successful in this area.
Yeah, that's a great question.
I mean, honestly,
I'll cross that one off my list.
Yeah. I mean, it's again, I don't want to be cheesy, but like, I like going to work.
Yeah.
To me, it's not, I got to be somewhere. And I always believe like you work to live, you don't live to work, but I live to work. Like I love going in there.
Right.
I love being able to deal with these people. And someday, like, if it makes a difference, like I said, we're open Thanksgiving and Christmas. I don't make the rest of the team be open those days.
Remember at first when we did that, people were mad, meaning some of the officers were mad. Well, how can we be open? You're like, I'm doing it myself. If anyone wants to help me, but I want a place for them. And we're busy.
Oh, slammed. But
because some people don't have a place to go.
No, it's their last Christmas, or they don't have anybody, or they lost somebody, and it's their first Christmas alone. So to be able to wake up and know that's what you're going to do today, or go to bed and know that's what you did, and to meet the people we meet, that I think that's so important, because if you don't like what you do, and you're not going to like it every day.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. But if you don't really honestly care about and like what you do, you're not going to put yourself into it.
100%. Well, Seth, listen, thank you so much. I have an Everyday GSD shirt for you because you are a true definition of getting shit done. But I want to close with this last thing, that you're in the people business.
Yes.
And you being in the people business has made such a profound impact on the VFW for so many people. So thank you, brother.
Thank you, man.
Love you.